And hopefully our guest tonight isn't driven to the point of insanity, so that way she loses all of her hair. But maybe it's like my family, where my grandma would always say that our psychic abilities came in with hair loss. We're back, ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen.
see.
Bald and Bonkers Show. We have Claire Board joining us today. Thank you again for coming on.
My absolute pleasure. Can't wait. Thank you.
I have been looking for. I've been looking forward to this since I seen you on TikTok that night, and I was in my meditation state. I came across you.
I love that,
And I thought,
Christopher.
do you know, there's something special. There was something special about you, and I thought to myself, "Look, Ken, I need to get her on the show." And I sent you a message. I didn't think you would answer me back, actually, because there's been a few people I've asked on the show for TikTok, and they never really get back to me. But I'm so thank you very honestly.
Thank you so much for having me. Honestly, I just, I always believe that the spirit world will draw to me, or my soul will draw to me, the people that I'm supposed to be vibing with. So, when you reached out, I just had that feeling. It's like, yep, I need to get back to this one.
Oh, that's that channel that I use. That's the one that I use for all the UFO material. To be purely honest, in the YouTube world, I do a lot more with ghosts and spirits and things that lurk in the night. Whereas my friend Dakota, he does a lot of stuff with the UFOs and their little green friends. He does a lot of stuff like that, and he's wrote multiple books, and the stories that he's got to tell are absolutely amazing. But Claire, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? Could you introduce yourself? Can you tell us something interesting?
Well, I'll try. I do talk a bit too much as well. Shut me up if I
no,
go on.
that's all right. I like that. I like that.
Hey, that'd be like working with him.
You got to have a laugh.
I could put my hand through the wall and slap him inside.
Okay, yeah. So for me, it starts really, really young. So now looking back, I was saying to my mum at the age of 2, I was saying, there's a man in my bedroom. She thought it was perhaps a man that had died in the house prior to us owning the house. We've since changed our mind. We think it probably was actually the spirit guide that works with me most of the time. But that was the kind of first, in retrospect, the first kind of inclination that there was something maybe a little bit different. But really the big time that I started to pay attention was at the age of 4. So I was taken to Richmond Cemetery in London, because that's where my granddad was got a plot there, and my nan and my mum were tidying up the plot. He'd been past maybe almost a year, and I was playing with some water in a vase and stones, and I felt my granddad come around me, but it was like a cloaking, just like an absolute cloaking of his energy all over me. And I heard him saying to me, "Claire, tell Nanny Granddad says I love you, Ive." And I was so not fazed by this and too busy playing. I was like, no, I'm not saying that, and I was resisting it because I didn't even have the emotional maturity to realize that would even help someone, So it was just coming over me in washes so strong. "Claire, tell Nanny Granddad says I love you, Ive." So in the end, I got so frustrated with this, I stood up, shouted across to my mum and my nan, who was standing at a gate by then, and shouted out, "Nanny Granddad says I love you, Ive." Now, their faces just went, because I later found out, I remember this well, but I later found out that only my granddad was allowed to call my nan Ive, because she was Ivy Constance. Everybody else called her Connie. And obviously my mum called my nan Mum, and I called her Nanny. So my nan never forgot that. And it brought her a lot of peace right the way up until she passed when she was 92. So that was the start of me realizing, hang on, there's something else. But even then I was far too young to even really question it. It just was such a powerful experience. It stayed with me. And then fast forward in my teenage years, that's when it started to go, as quite often does with teenagers, completely crazy.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
my parents got divorced, so I had emotional stuff going on, which is, I think, pretty, you know, classic, because the energy around you is completely
Yeah.
different. And then I started to see a man standing at the end of my bed, who was really tall,
Okay.
really imposing, absolutely intimidating. And I would see him as I was either drifting off to sleep or waking up, which I now obviously understand is hypnopompic and hypnagogic. But at the time,
Yeah.
just like what I
Mhm.
see him, I was
Mhm.
racing into my mum, absolutely terrified to be on my own. And we started to get paranormal phenomena. So we would get smells.
Yeah.
Those smells would follow me around though. So, like smells normally linger. This would be there 1 minute, gone the
Yes.
next. But it would also travel. And other people would be smelling this smell that we couldn't put our finger on. We were turning the house
Yeah.
upside down. There was all sorts of things, objects moving. He was really
Yes.
trying to get my attention.
Yeah.
So I ended up seeing a medium when I was 19, and
Right.
the medium said to me, "I've got your granddad here." He says his name's Stan. So she went straight to my granddad who had seen it at the grave, and she said, "What's that smell? There's a spirit guide here calling himself
Yeah.
White Feather. You've seen him standing at the end of your bed."
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
she said, "He's asking me to take you under my wing." And by that, I knew she was absolutely authentic,
Yeah.
because there's no way anyone could have known
Yeah.
that. So at the age of 20, I came under Sheila Thomas's guidance here in Hampton Hill Spiritualist Church in London, and I sat under her development for 10 years, every week.
Yeah.
And so
Wow.
I didn't rush into this at all. I was
Mhm.
doing platform mediumship and doing one-to-ones, but not for a long,
It's
long time.
it's something that's always intrigued me, and it's I've got fond memories. I can remember my birth.
Can
See, I can
you?
actually remember it, yeah. And I've actually talked about this with people. One of them was Lisa Fry. I actually had a conversation about her, and I'll tell you one day about it, kind of like privately, but really quickly. It was tunnel of white light, and I
Wow.
was walking down the white light tunnel, but I wasn't myself. There was like people round about me,
Yeah.
and I looked behind me, and everybody was waving as if to say "good luck" kind of thing, and I can remember it because I can remember the place, and I told my mum, and she didn't believe me. And then I told the doctor one day, and he told me, "Well, that's what the place looked like inside." Because a year after I was born, the hospital was knocked down. So how could I know what it was like inside? But it's something that's always intrigued me: kids, and how kids, babies in particular, can see spirits. It's as if there's something, we
Mhm.
get a knowledge that's like built into us. We're still aware of who we are and why
Yeah.
we're here. But then we get to like a certain point in our lives where it just forgets.
Yeah.
We just
Mhm.
forget
Well,
about it. And it's
I did a lot of, sorry, Chuck, just
no,
tell
no,
me
it's okay.
I
No,
just
no, no,
it's
it's
just
okay. It's okay.
I did a lot of research when I was writing my first book, What the Dead Are Dying to Teach Us. I was learning all about the brain and the different types of brain patterns that there are, and that children, babies between the age of 0 and 1, are only in delta phase, which is the deep sleep
Yeah,
phase, and then between 1 and 6 they're in delta and theta. It's only from the age of 5 and 6 we start developing the ability to be in these alpha waves and
yeah,
beta waves that we're in now. So I
Mhm.
believe that the reason they can see spirit and I could see spirit so easy was because we were in theta. And so the
yeah,
research done on mediums now, when they study their brains, the mediums are in
yes,
theta brainwave patterns.
yes,
So we are in tune with, and anybody can be in theta brainwave patterns if they learn to meditate. We can still be in tune with what little kids are in tune with. It's just that our brain then, just like you say, it forgets, it
yeah,
zones out, it filters everything because it's too
Mhm.
much.
yeah. It's too much for it, and I think it's a good thing that we don't remember, because if you to come here and then realize that you were like a fighter pilot, In World War II, you'd be walking about, you'd be like, wait a minute, where am I? Kind of thing, because that has happened. I've seen cases where
Oh,
kids have been
totally.
in museums
Mhm.
and they've pointed at airplanes
Hmm.
and they've went, I was in one of them and I crashed, and they could tell you everything about that plane. And
Absolutely.
you're like, how do you know that?
Well, this
You
is
know?
what I've written about in my books, because I've shared
Yeah.
all this about past life memories and pre-birth memories, like you were sharing,
Yeah.
because I was actually shown my pre-birth memory as an adult. I was shown what I
Right.
was called my point of entry. So, and I was literally a point of attention, like a light, absolutely
Yes.
hurtling. And I
Mhm.
knew that I had to keep my focus entirely on what was being called my point of entry, because if I
Yes.
didn't, somebody else would be given that body. It was so
Yes.
strange. And I couldn't wait to get in. I couldn't wait to get going on this mission that I knew I had.
See, this is it's a memory that's never left me, and it's a remember that I can think about to great detail, because I could talk about it for about an hour. That's how much I know about it. I mean, it was weird because in the background you could see everybody, but behind them there was like mountains.
Wow.
There was mountains and there was scenery behind them, and it's as if they were standing at a guardrail. I kid you not, it was as if they were standing at a guardrail and they were waving, and I knew them. I knew who they were.
Your soul family, I
That's the
reckon.
only yeah, that I think that's who and I can remember walking down and people looking at me, but when I looked at others, it was just you ever been in a department store where like the clothes mummy kind of things don't have any faces?
Yes.
That's what everybody looked like.
Yeah.
That's what everybody looked like. Even I looked like that.
Yes.
And one looked at me and just nodded like that, and I looked back and nodded, but we knew what we were doing. We knew where we were going. And
Mhm.
it makes me wonder, because some of the people that I came into contact that knew in this life, it makes me wonder, are they some of the people that I was walking down that hallway?
I am absolutely convinced of it. I had the most powerful soul connection I've ever had. I don't know if your
Mhm.
viewers will know what a soul connection is,
No,
but
but please explain.
okay. Well, so we're all energy, right? We're all
Yeah.
energy, we're all consciousness, and energy isn't
Mhm.
created, it can't be destroyed.
Yes.
So we are indestructible. And within our
Yes.
energy, we hold data, we hold information. That journey that travels through space and time that we make is our soul
Yeah.
energy data field. Some people call it aura. I see that as just old data field. And
Yeah.
some people call it Akashic records. Basically, we are recording experience within the universe. Just like DNA can record information on it, it's what we do. That's what
Yeah.
how the universe operates. So when we have had a previous lifetime with somebody where we have shared a relationship that's been either painful, loving, and whatever it is, should we
Mhm.
cross paths with them again in this lifetime, we have an instant
Yes.
soul recognition. The energies go, oh, I
Yes.
recognize you. And so
Mhm.
we recognize that person. Oh, there you are. So what you're saying to me, Christopher, absolutely fits in with what I know, what I've been taught.
See, it's weird because I've came into contact with people and people are like, ah, but what happens if they're not the same age as you? But time's different in the afterlife. That's what I've told people. I've been like, 2 weeks to us could be a million years to them. I mean, it's different. So
Because
I've came into to meet people, and it's weird because it's as if I've knew them. It's so crazy. Nope.
Oh, did we lose
You
her?
there? Clear.
She's frozen.
Clear.
Oh no!
We'll give it a moment, guys. Clear.
Beep 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 beep
No,
beep.
we'll give it a minute to come back, guys, because it's sometimes we have problems at this and clear.
It's been especially bad ever since the solar storms, hasn't it?
It has been bad after the solar storm. It's been quite intense. I actually cancelled that restream because they just kept. I found out that their servers in the United States and they kept going down constantly. So I just cancelled it. They gave me my money back. See if you can take that restream out for like a month. I'm giving them an advertisement here. But see if it's like a day before it runs out and you're not happy with it, they give you your money back.
Well,
But
hopefully we'll
guys, we'll
get
just
Claire
give it a
back.
minute or two. I will get her back. Hopefully to the gods in heaven, because I'm very interesting show.
Yeah, so far, yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway,
So
for
your
those of you
cough,
interested, yeah. God, I thought I was hoping I would have it tamed down before we came on, but guess not.
you need to get yourself something to. Maybe you need antibiotics. It may have went in your chest or something.
Nah, I'll be all right.
We'll give it a couple of minutes. Well, there we go. She's back from
Oh,
beyond.
I'm so sorry. I had this
That's
trouble.
fine.
I hope it doesn't keep doing this.
We thought the light had came to take you away.
I just, I think there's something definitely going on with our Wi-Fi in this area at the moment. I never normally have a problem.
Yeah, that's
But
absolutely fine.
sorry.
But
Yeah.
please
Hopefully.
continue.
So I was listening to you, Christopher. Where did we get up to? You got up to you saying that you recognise people that you saw in the spirit world.
Yeah, and to this day, I come across people, and it's been mostly it's been people in the paranormal. Mostly people I've met in the paranormal. I'm like, I know who you are, but it's weird. It's like I knew you. It's like I was related to you. It's so crazy, and we become good friends, and it's never really happened to me like, would you call it, out and about? But it's always these people I meet on the internet, and I feel there's something that attracts me, and it's like there's something that's like a magnet.
It is. It's a magnetic pull.
Yeah.
And that's where the heart has got an electromagnetic field. And as we resonate at the same frequency of someone, we're drawn to them. So I had the most profound soul experience. I had a client come and sit in front of me. His name's Gyles. I've written about him, actually. And he basically sat in front of me like all my clients do. We looked at each other, and it was absolute instant recognition. I had past life recognition hitting me of past lives with him. He was having the same experience. We knew each other inside out, and it was the most freakish thing. How do you say to someone, how do I know you so well? I know you like I know myself. And it sent me into a Kundalini awakening, which is, source energy absolutely pouring through me. I felt, when near-death experiences talk about reaching the light and feeling they don't want to come back. It shot me into that. It shot me into that experience. I had a blissful, I would say nirvana, Christ consciousness experience. Just the soul power, the soul energy. And it was the first time when I actually thought to myself, oh my God, I'm eternal. From young, I'd been speaking to the spirit world, but they were outside of me. Meeting Gyles made me realize I'm eternal.
Yes, it's a good feeling, isn't it? It's a really good feeling, because it's like you're walking down the road and you look at everybody doing their day-to-day. They don't really believe in this stuff, and they're all interested. They're only interested in saving money up and buying like equipment and stuff like that. But you're walking about and you're thinking, I wonder what I'll be doing in my next life. I wonder if I've been here before. Oh, there's a graveyard over there for the 18th century. I wonder if I actually am buried over there. Because you don't know.
I've had that thought. I'm going to Pompeii next week, and I'm like, what if I get there and I realise I've lived here before?
The Pompeii, the volcano,
I know.
That has happened to me, because I did go a lot to old graveyards. The one across the road from me is from the 12th century, a 12th century graveyard. And when I go into it, I think to myself, Ken, all the previous lives, I wonder if I'm actually in here. Because you wonder who you used to be. And it just makes you wonder. But in another way, it's good, because you know that there's something at the end of things. You know that if you get cancer, God forbid, or you get something wrong with you, or you get killed, you know your soul will go on.
That's right.
And you will come back.
That's it. I think it allows you. I mean, unfortunately for me, last year I was really unwell. I mean, I nearly went back home. I call it home, because to me that's home. I'm just traveling through here. But it was amazing. I actually looked death in the face for the first time in this lifetime anyway. And I just had a sense of how much I absolutely know I'm going to continue on, because
Yeah.
I wasn't frightened at all of the idea. So I think it gives you the permission or the ability to live fearlessly,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's
which
quite
God knows
interesting
we
because
need.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, go on.
I've been sadly, my mother passed away 2 months ago, right? And
Oh,
she had cancer. She had bowel cancer and stuff like that. It was terminal, and it's not the first time I was with my grandmother when she passed away, about maybe 15, 16 years ago. And it's quite interesting because when my mother, a couple of days before my mother passed away, the house felt like it felt like a Piccadilly train station. It felt like it was full,
really?
and I mean full to the brim with
Mhm.
people, and I could feel it. I could feel the energy. See, I've got a ghost that lives in my house. I know him because I talk to him quite regular because I see him,
Wow.
and I'll tell you about it. But anyway, what was weird was my uncle. He's about 85 or something like that. He's sitting there with my mum, her sister, and she starts talking to people, and he's like looking round about him like that, and he's like, "Who? What's that?" Like that. She says, "Oh, they're all coming to take me to the pictures tomorrow." Right? That morning at 10:30, she passed away. It was Valentine's Day that she passed away.
Oh,
And
bless her.
but see, that's the thing. But see, he lost his wife. He lost his wife maybe about 4 years ago, and the exact same thing happened to her. She was looking round about the room. She said, "Oh, my mum's here," and he's like, "Okay." She just thought it was like the morphine they were giving her. "Oh no, my mum's here. She's standing in the corner." It's always the corner of the room. I think that's maybe where the portals
Yeah, I
open
know.
up or
Why is
something
that?
like that.
Mhm.
I think it's something to
Yeah,
do with
yeah,
like portals or
exactly.
something. And she's coming to take me away soon. She's coming to take me tonight. And she said, okay. That night she passed away. I've got friends that have worked in care homes, and I've got friends that work in hospices, and they've all had the exact same experiences.
Mhm.
All the old people, all the people with cancer, have
Yeah. Oh,
told them that,
absolutely.
yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's an interesting
And
thing
there's
at the
certain,
very end. Yeah. Go.
yeah, deathbed visions. So loads of palliative care nurses and people have reached out to me over the years, and there's certain phases that we seem to go through, certain key things that people will say that they're experiencing, and the nurses know that it's that close from what they're starting to say, especially as they're always saying that they're seeing people that are coming to get them, but these people are not living people. They're always people that are deceased, which I just find absolutely
Yes.
fascinating. It's not like if a child is not very well, they're not saying, "Oh, I can see my mummy there." They're talking about people that have crossed. So again, I find the young children thing fascinating, because you know that they're not deluded or attention seeking.
It is quite interesting because it's something as you get closer to death, I think the veil for like normal people just drops. It just totally the force fields go down. There's
Absolutely.
like around anybody that's known the spirit world, they've obviously got this weird force field around about them, and they can't really see things. Maybe if they're in a haunted house, something in the night flirting about. But when they're near death, that force field just fails. And that's their mothers, their grandfathers, their brothers, their sisters, or even dead pets come to see them to take them into the light. Because let's face it, if you were lying in bed and you didn't really do anything in the paranormal and a stranger turned up, you'd be wondering, who's that? I'm not going with him. But you know what I mean? But if somebody turned up that you knew, you're going to go with
Exactly.
them. Yeah.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
And they know you're coming. I mean, this goes back to the whole soul family, soul group thing. We definitely move in pods. We do. We because that's where the growth and the evolution comes in. We're interacting in different lifetimes, playing different roles, learning from each other, leveling up, raising consciousness within the universe. Because to me, we are universal beings, not just human beings. And I think there's a lot of, interdimensional reality here. I mean, I'd be interested in Dakota's take on things, because, for me, there's a blurred line between the spirit world and UFOs or UAPs, whatever you want to call them, whatever they are. saying the wrong. But you but you know, ultimately anything that isn't inhabiting the earth is extraterrestrial, right?
Mhm.
So
yeah,
intelligence
you're in for a
that
treat.
isn't on the planet. Yeah. So I don't know what you feel about that, Dakota, but you know, we could be receiving things telepathy wise from other beings that are out in different dimensions. Who knows?
Well, anybody who's followed this show long enough or watched
Mhm.
my stuff long enough knows that my stories are way too long to be included in this. But
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be here
let's just say
tomorrow.
the short version of it is I go out to look for UFOs at night, and the response I get is, "Hi, Daddy, we miss you."
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally believe it. Totally. I've done so many. So I don't do traditional evidence-based mediumship anymore.
Yes.
I'm an accredited medium with the Institute of
Yes.
Spiritualist Mediums, and for 20 years I did evidence-based mediumship and trying to prove beyond reasonable doubt consciousness survives physical death. The spirit world started to tell me that I needed to evolve and move on, that humanity was ready for more now.
Yes.
And so the last few years, I've done soul guidance readings, which include soul path, past lives, spirit guides, and even interdimensional beings. The amount of times I have people in front of me that I'm being told have been incarnate on other planets.
Yeah.
In other parts of the universe. I mean, it makes sense, right? If there's 2 trillion galaxies out there, for goodness
Oh
sake,
God, yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
sentient conscious life exists elsewhere. So, and if we are consciousness and if we're soul and we can just incarnate here, we can incarnate anywhere. So, hearing you say that to me, Dakota, is not conflicting with my own experiences, because whether you're consciousness embodiment, consciousness interdimensionally, consciousness in source, wherever you are in the astral planes, if you're in other you know dimensions within the universe, who the hell knows? We don't know. I know we know nothing.
I'm going to say this about Dakota the new. The first time I met Dakota, I have experienced some crazy stuff because of Dakota. I was always into ghosts
Yeah.
and afterlife and that stuff, but what I met Dakota, everybody round about Dakota at the time all had the same experiences of these people. I'll just call them his family, you know. And I was having the same dreams, and there was people round about me that was having the same dreams. It kind of quieted down for me for a while because I was mixed up, and I think I was more kind of spiritual based. I was more like into ghosts and stuff like that. Whereas Dakota, he's really into the alien side of stuff. I mean, he does a lot of stuff. Dakota, why don't you tell us a wee bit of it, just so she knows.
A wee bit, Chris. You've seen how this story plays out, man.
We've got ages. Just explain it a wee bit. Come on,
Chris. The
a wee bit
story is
quickly.
still
Solve it, Jimmy.
evolving as we speak. There's,
But
I was like,
look,
just
it's
a little
amazing.
bit. People in the audience can back me up here. There's
Oh,
no
yeah.
little.
It's look what's happened with Dakota is absolutely amazing, because I had a dream one night and it was just so real, and I knew it was somewhere else, and then I told them about it, and then somebody else had the same dream, and then there was times when I had the dreams and it would get worse and worse, but then after a wee while it dissipated with me. I think it's maybe because I was more like into ghosts and spooky things, you know, but he's more into the alien kind of stuff. But I can tell you something right now. We are definitely being watched. They're definitely on this planet now, and they're definitely probably watching this show as we speak. So wave
for
up to
sure.
yous, but
Yeah.
oh yeah,
I mean, that's what I'm saying to you. I think it can, as a medium and a channel, it can be confusing that you can sometimes be connecting in with interdimensional beings, or you
yeah.
could
I was
also
just
be
to say,
connecting in with the spirit world, because it's consciousness. And if consciousness can communicate telepathically with us, which it appears it can, or it's sending data through to the brain, however you want to put it, then communication is possible no matter what, wherever that life is. And to me, life is just a continuum. So it feels just as real to us on the other side of physical life than it does here. And also the other thing is, what I've come to learn is that the physical world and the spiritual world are still worlds of form, because we
Yes.
take a form in them. So it's, you know, really not until we go back to pure source energy that we really drop the lot and just exist in light form. All the while people
Yes.
are in other astral planes or devacanic
Yes.
planes, whatever you want to call it, then we're existing in some kind of form, because I still even see
Yes.
spirit guides in form.
See, that's the thing. I mean, I know that there's extraterrestrials out there that don't have like bodies like me and you have.
No.
They don't have bodies that they're just like light beings that they just exist. They're light spirits. You could actually mistake them as a spirit.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
they're billions of years more advanced than us, and they just float about. That's what they do all day. They just do that kind of stuff. But because they're so old and they've kind of managed to get techniques to the spirit world. They know how to tap into the spirit world, and they know how to talk to the spirits. And I think that's how they managed to come to Earth, and how they can maybe implant someone into somebody's body. They can play with that. And I find that so fascinating.
Well, the thing is, to me, consciousness is primary, and consciousness, the way we know, don't we already, the way that we think creates our reality, you know. So if you were that evolved that you no longer needed physical form, that you could exist in photon, then or that you were just that consciousness there embodied in a orb, or in, you know, however you want to vocalize it, then you could manipulate anything. It's no different, is it, from me sitting here and saying people's loved ones most certainly manipulate the physical world to show us signs. You know, that robin that you see come in to your garden just at the passing of somebody, or that butterfly that lands on you, you know, that has been influenced by the consciousness of somebody in the spirit world. Just like how you and I, if I was to stare at you and you didn't know I was looking at you, you'd turn to look at me, you know. If we've ever done that experiment where you stare at people that don't know you're there, and then they look over at you, it's this
I've done that just
but exactly. But you know, that is the same thing, isn't it? You know, that person's point of attention has gone on the robin. That robin is now influenced to hop near to a loved one. They know that loved one's going to think of them maybe on their anniversary. You know, they're manipulating this world. And you're saying all you're saying is that somebody that is within our universe, or within interdimensions within the universe, is also able to do the same thing. And I think we got to get a bit smarter and a bit broader with our thinking, because you know, you're right. When I started out 27 years ago, all I could cope with the idea was when we died, we became like spirit people and there was a spirit world, you know. I'm so far beyond that now, it's ridiculous.
A wee question that I've actually got for you, I was thinking about how to ask you it tonight. I mean, I've met a lot of people that deal with the demonic side of spiritualism. And have you ever experienced a darker spirit? I mean, I've met people that have done exorcisms. I've met people that we've had people on the show like that Bishop Brian for Ghost Adventures. We had him on the show. I mean, have you ever came in contact with one of these dark things?
Yes. So basically, when I met Gyles Whitnall, and we had that soul connection, that a whole load of paranormal. I mean, I'm doing a Dakota here, you know. I've got so much. This is all being given to you in just like really, really bite-sized chunks. But when Giles and I connected, the spirit world were coming in. Our guides were coming in. Say, do you know who you've just met? Do you understand the purpose of this soul bond? And you are to sit now and be trained together. He's a wonderful, as it turns out, energy healer. And I'm the medium. So we were put together, yin and yang, masculine, feminine energies. And we have been trained in spiritual release, spiritual crisis, and exorcism, or I don't like to call it exorcism, but you know, cleansing work in all its forms. And I hadn't, before I met Giles, I don't think I was ready. Well, I certainly on my own wasn't ready to be going into the darker side of the spirit world. But since over the last 5 years that I've worked with him, I've come across some very shadow side of things. But you know what I've learned is that the dark and light coexists, so there isn't one without the other. And it really is about people not aligning with those frequencies within themselves. So yes, I have come up against some real nasties.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
mean,
why I'm
I've
laughing.
heard. I know, but I'm laughing too. I mean, I've heard some crazy stories. I've heard some intense stories that are 100% true, and people. I'm going to say this: people out there don't realize what they're doing when they start getting into this kind of stuff, especially the demonic side of things. They think it's all fun and games. There's a lot of people who use like spirit boards out there. If you know, if you're like a trained professional like you yourself, Claire, or Dakota, or people that I know that are into spirit boards, you can use that kind of device. It's like a telephone to the spirit world.
I
But then
do,
you get the
yeah,
younger,
exactly.
but then you get the younger generation that take that and they get into a graveyard and they think that they're having a laugh, and they don't realize that they could maybe contact something that's maybe think, I could jump onto that 15-year-old or that 14-year-old and hold on to them. And the rest of their life, they could start getting addicted to drugs. They could start being into crazy things and all that kind of stuff. And it might be because of that thing that's feeding
Yeah,
off of that
we
person.
Giles and I call them bottom feeders. They're like, you know, there's a lot of them around. There's a lot of them that are just hanging about waiting for people to vibe low, and then they just want to align with them and keep them low so they can keep that energy feeding in. And so yes, as a teenager, given our society does not accept this is even reality, so they're not trained to just, it'd be a bit like opening your front door and just saying, oh, come in anybody, you know, we just wouldn't do it, would we? So well, you know, this, to me, the spirit board is no different from a piece of paper and a pen. It's a bit of cardboard. What's happening is you're sitting there, you're setting an intent, and you're saying, I want to connect with that. And most teenagers are saying, I want to scare. I want to know you're there. And so they're aligning with the fear straight off the bat. They're aligning with the fear. And then they are getting the fright they want. But I think what's even more scary within the darker realms of spirit is, to me, those bottom feeders, if you want, aren't highly intelligent. They're just looking for the like attracts like thing. But within the spirit ones, when you talk about demons, or there's a level of intelligence in the spirit world that is so intelligent, you wouldn't even recognize it as the dark. And that's the scary stuff, because it is very manipulative. It'll be able to talk you into all sorts, you know. I can help you out. I can get you this money. I can get you that money. I can help you do your wildest dreams, whatever it is. And before you know it, you've made an alignment. You've set the intent that you want that. And you haven't got a clue what you've just now walked into. So I think we're protected, though, all the while we open up to the spirit world in love, set the intent, and we hold our own energy and our own power. We're okay. It's like you said, it's the more naive, or the ones who haven't got a lot of self-esteem, self-confidence, who are low mental state. Just don't even go there. Ignorance is your protection.
You need to be also careful of like locations too. I mean, there's a lot of I've been to a few locations like abandoned hospitals, and especially mental asylums. And you go into these places and you see people have been like the satanic, they've been doing like satanic kind of rituals and stuff, and you wonder to yourself, what are they actually doing? But you need to be very careful. No, for that person that's actually done that, because maybe they know what they're doing. It's the people that's maybe going into that location that's just thinking they're exploring that place, thinking, oh, look at this, there's an old hospital bed out there. What's this? Picking something up and going, oh, look, it's a wee ornament. I'm taking that home with me and putting it in their pocket and then walking out the door. And then all hell breaks loose in their house because they took something back.
Absolutely. Giles and I were taken to a pub, actually, and there was knives flying off the back of the pub bar onto the front of the pub, landing on the points, you know. I think that's an attention seeker myself. Obviously, it wasn't trying to kill anybody, but in that land, there had been, as we found out later, satanic rituals had been done for at least 1,000 years. There was pagan stuff going on that land, and the power that had been summoned up on the land was so incredibly strong. I've never felt anything like it in my life. I mean, to the point where my spirit guides were like, "Just get out. You're not qualified to deal with this. You need more training. Get out. We'll come back." So you got to know your limits. You got to respect this stuff and know your limits, and know that you are love, you are indestructible, but you also in this body don't know it all.
No, that's right.
Be respectful of it.
Oh yeah. To go up with you.
Nah, I was just thinking back to some my experiences with some of the more darker stuff, but I have found it funny that since we got into the conversation, especially people's last minute moments, I keep hearing voices coming through on air right now. So I'm just trying to listen to see. All right, what did that say? What that say?
I will say to you this, right? I don't know if it's my house guest, right? He likes to come out. He's got a thing with my lives, right? I do talk to him on a very regular basis. I talk to him every day because I can see him, right? I know he's here now. I can feel he's here now. He's got a thing for. I'll tell you, he lived in the farm behind me, right? The farm behind me was built in the 14th century, right? And it caught on fire. And the story goes that there was a man killed there. That's the guy that stays here, right? And I think he's one of my medium friends told me, see how I've got the neon.
Yes.
And the LEDs. He likes my family, right? He likes us, and he's terrified that we set the house on fire. Because there's been a few times in the house that our interlinked smoke alarms have went off and they shouldn't be. And it's for the most maddest reasons. And I think that's him. He's just worried. I think he's got to it now that they're just LEDs, right? But the other night I was sitting, I was watching TV. This is my wee studio area. I seen, I was going to tell you about this, Dakota, but I didn't. I seen a golf ball sized orb and it just floated right out past me, went out through the next wall. Now I'm wondering, is that him? Or is it my mother? Because my mother died in this house 3 months ago. And it makes me wonder that who that is. I don't know who it is, but I've got a feeling it's just him. And I think because I'm opening up more into spiritual, I'm becoming more spiritual because I do tarot cards stuff and that, but I also do like other kind of things. I feel like I'm opening up more. Do you get me there?
Well,
Claire?
I think when you set the intent and you say I'm ready, they will then, and if they know that the intent is true, they will then start working with you. And so you're sitting in meditation, you're expanding your mind, you're in communication. So they will then start to work with you to get the information through.
I do a lot of other stuff, but I keep that to myself. It's kind of like spiritual stuff because I do, when I go to graveyards and stuff, I do see things. I'm working with Lisa, for instance, that I mentioned. She's helping me with things that I see and stuff like that too. But yeah, he's friendly. He's been here for a long time. He's very, very, very protective of the house.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you can imagine the spirit world around us everywhere, right? I mean, it's just another hairbreadth away. They're a thought away, as mediums always say. So, there's people around us all the time. We don't need to move them all on. It's only the ones that are actually creating havoc in our lives. Otherwise.
Yeah. It's the spirits order. That's what people don't realize. There's spirits everywhere. Some people will sit and watching this, they're now thinking, oh, I'm in my house myself tonight, I'm not going to scare you or nothing like that. And you're sitting there and you're thinking, this is a new building. No, I'm telling you this now, there's probably spirits that's walked through your house. They've probably popped in, they've thought, well, this is nice. This is I'll hang about here for a wee while, and then they'll go on their way. That's what they do. But there's a lot of spirits out there that don't mean you any harm. They just like to hang about and nose about.
The majority.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked with the Scottish Society for Psychical Research, and they were doing a talk once on possession. And so in all of their research, only 1% of all cases are classed as possession.
Yeah.
That means 99% of all spirit contact is absolutely benign, harmless, and more
Yeah.
than that, absolutely unconditionally loving.
Yes.
So, you know, I think when spirits stay earthbound, there's a purpose behind it. Who are we to say that they need to move on? Maybe they're not ready, you know, as long as they're not creating havoc, like I said.
Well,
What's it
through
matter?
my understanding, and through my kind of relationship with my friend, he likes me, and I think he's protecting me. I honestly do feel that, because when I go to like castles and I go to like haunted locations and stuff, I can feel him. It's as if he's there, and when I'm driving my car, I can feel him sitting next to me. It's
Maybe
so
your own,
crazy, and people.
well, maybe he's a guide, or maybe your own guides have said, you know what,
Yeah.
he wants to work in that
Give him a job.
capacity. Yeah, give him a role. Exactly. And that may be part of his ascension back. You know, we're all connected.
Yeah.
We're all one at the end of it. So, you know, it is, I don't know. I think it's a healthy relationship myself, you know.
It- Fine,
It's
you
not
know,
bothering
but
you.
it's
It's not bothering anyone.
it doesn't bother. It doesn't bother me one bit. And do you know something? I used to be kind of scared when before I got into this kind of stuff. I was like, oh no, there's a ghost about. There's a ghost about. See now, it doesn't bother me. I can walk through graveyards at night time. It doesn't do nothing to me. It's just that I just walk through because it's a shortcut. But it does, and I know people. Oh, I wouldn't walk through the graveyard at night. The devil will be there.
Well, I mean, I've got to the point where I'm more scared of the living than the dead. That's for sure.
Yes,
I mean, you
as
know,
my grandmother. Yeah, as
yeah,
my grandmother always said. Yeah, the people in the graveyard will not do you harm. It's the people outside the graveyard that are more likely to do you harm.
exactly. And actually,
Yeah.
I've got to the point now where, I mean, I've experienced, oh God, over my lifetime, so much phenomena. It is absolutely proven itself to me now. It is beyond doubt. 100%. But you know, even then, I'm still looking for that evidence all the time. It doesn't just happen. Walking through the graveyard, I'm not going to see a million ghosts standing there. Do you know what I mean? I'm still thrilled
Yeah.
when something happens. It's like, whoa.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It's
Mhm.
it's an interesting thing. I mean, I know Dakota's experienced some crazy spiritual stuff in his day, not just the alien stuff. Dakota, can you say something about it? Because you've experienced a lot of like spiritual stuff. You know what I mean? Because he has an investigator. He's done a lot of investigations in haunted locations.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've dealt with this stuff most of my life. I mean, well, right now, main thing I've been kind of eyeballing is my almost 6-month-old niece. I'm fairly certain she's seeing somebody, because she'd start looking off in the corner and start making funny faces, and I'm just like, "Who the hell are you, kid?"
Yeah.
And she just,
I know my
I
daughter did
lost my
that.
audio.
Oh, have you? Yeah, my daughter did that. My daughter used to point out all the time when she was little, and when she was a tiny baby, I could see her staring past me at other, you know, and smiling and laughing. I mean, this is the thing for anybody watching this that's a little bit scared, right? If you think about the kids are seeing this stuff all the
Yeah.
time. We saw it as kids. It did no harm to us. It is just another level of reality. It's when we come with a whole boatload worth of fear and our own trauma in life and our own, and not just in this lifetime as well. Obviously, we, like you saying earlier, Christopher, it's a good job we don't remember all our past lives, because you imagine how much trauma is involved in all of that, you know.
I know. I mean,
Mhm.
you think about the people that can remember being in plane crashes,
I
or
know.
people that are born today that were killed in terrorist attacks and stuff, that they can remember these things.
You wouldn't
And
want to, would you?
yeah, no, you wouldn't want to, because
Mhm.
that's why I think there's something built into every human, and I think it's different with animals. I think animals know when it's time they're going to die. Do you know that? I think it's different with like cats and dogs, and I think they're totally different. They've got something else. They know, because they can see the spirits. My dog sits and
Mhm.
stares into the corner and just wags her tail, and she takes her ball and she drops it, and I'm like, "What are you doing, Jessie?" She's wagging her tail away. But another thing I was want to ask you, you were mentioning the Akasha records. What's your
Mhm.
opinion on the Akasha records? Because I have been there. I've been there. I've acquainted it a couple of times, and I did come against this I'm not going to say it was a man, and I'm not going to say it was a woman. I do not know what it was. It was just like a shimmery light, and it said to me that you can look at this and you will know your future. And I choose not. I says to it, I says, I don't want to see it because, listen, quite frankly, I don't want to come back again and redo this, because I felt like it was going to show me my life's what I'm meant to be doing in life. Maybe I should have looked at it, and then I would have known what I was going to do. But I think I've came here to learn. So I'm going to
Exactly.
keep it like that, because I know this is like a test. So I don't really want to come back and reset my test again.
Yeah. Well, neither do I. I think all of us at the moment feel like we don't want to be back here again.
No,
It's not much
no.
joy, is it, at the minute? I'm trying to find. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think life is incredible, but the world right now is challenging all of us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the Akashic records, I mean, when I'm doing soul guidance readings, that is what
Yes.
I'm being shown. So I can only ever speak from personal experience. So
Yes.
the guides will come forward. I will see deceased loved ones around the person I'm reading for, and I'll see their guides. There is normally, for whatever reason, maybe this is just the way I work, a guide that steps forward that has the records or is able to access the records of that person. And they will then tell me from the Akashic field what this person is trying to achieve in life, why they've had the struggles they've had, why they've had the soul connections they've had, what worked, what didn't work, where they're at right now. They very rarely, they do sometimes give a glimpse into the future, but they just like you're saying, they very rarely do unless it's really important, because it will rob us of our joy of experience and co-creating. And if you had it all mapped out for you, it wouldn't be much fun. I will say, last year when I wasn't well, they will step in when it's right to do. So I was told, before I had to have surgery last year, I was told before I went in for the surgery by the spirit world what I would have done, how it would play out, why it was going to be so challenging, and what I was working through from a previous lifetime. And I knew before the surgeons did that I was going to need 2 surgeries, that the first one wouldn't work or hadn't worked. So they are quite capable of showing us, like you're saying, a glimpse of the future. And I don't think that's going to have kept me back from, stop me from ascension. Because it was necessary for me to understand why I was about to go through such awful trauma and nearly going home, so that I could work through it, stick at it, and pass that initiation. So actually they will help you when the time is right, even at the toughest of times. But I think you were wise not to look, because I will say they gave me information up front, and for the 6 weeks between the first surgery and me realizing that it hadn't worked because they hadn't done what I was told I needed, I spent 6 weeks traumatized, knowing I needed a second surgery when my surgeon wasn't aware I did. So it was necessary in my particular case because of the severity of the situation, but in everyday life we don't really need it. The soul knows.
I felt like I honestly felt like it was a test. Because I felt this, whatever it was, I felt like it was like, let's see what he does this time. That's what I felt like. It's because I think it was expecting me to look.
Yeah.
And I honestly think I passed that test by saying, no, I don't want it, man. Just wouldn't go.
Initiation. The soul knows. Your soul knows exactly what it came here to do, what it's trying to achieve. And the minute you go against that gut feeling, like you obviously had that deeper inner knowing of, actually, this is an initiation. I'm feeling it, and I don't need. I'll just be in the now. That's fine.
See, you get a lot of people out there that want to break their soul contract. You get this, and you get a lot of people out there. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but you get people out there that are into breaking their soul contract because they agreed to do something here. They agreed to come here and do something, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not doing it. I've broke my soul contract. I can do anything I want." But they don't realize when they go back, they're gonna, "Oh no, I shouldn't have done that."
But then also, I don't think you can.
Yeah.
To me, that's a mental thing. You see, anytime it's a mind thing and it's I know I'm saying that
Yeah.
mind creates reality, but anytime we're in the mind, like as in I broke my soul contract or cut the ties or anything like that, it's mind stuff. And the soul, my experience with Gyles was that was an energy that was absolutely beyond the control of both of us. That there was a higher power involved in that, or a greater intelligence, however you want to call it, that our minds were grappling to make sense of, catch up with, understand. It was all unfolding at a level of reality that here had no control over. So the soul is so powerful. Like you're saying, you might pause your soul contract, you might have a little break, but ultimately, energetically, if you've got to work through that, you've got to work through that. There's no escaping it, cutting it, breaking it. You know, you just taking a little diversion.
Yeah. People don't realize that there's people that are here that's maybe their first time on Earth because they could have been for somewhere else. But then there's people on Earth that are this is maybe their 20th or 30,000th time on this plane, and they're like real old souls. And that's what people don't realize, that they're like, oh, that's it. When I die, I am not coming back. That is it. I am not coming. I'm staying in the afterlife forever. But they don't realize that time is totally different over there. It's like you could go over there, right? So say that you've died, you've left your wife, right? You could go over there and spend like 10 billion years there if you wanted to, then come back the next day to your wife. That's what they don't realize.
Yeah, because the spirit dimensions are beyond space and time.
Yeah.
So when I see people's soul paths, when I'm doing readings, I see them like a continuation of a life like that, but it's touching different times and space within Earth. And the actual storyline plays out across all of those different times and space. So say very simplistically, they may be with a partner in a particular time. Say they were in Egyptian times, they were working through some kind of tragic relationship there. One dies. I've noticed that another period of time, they will pick it up at the point in which that person died. They'll pick and meet again at that time in a completely different time and space on Earth with completely different circumstances, which for all intents and purposes looks like a different planet. And they'll pick up that storyline and they'll work through it again there and again and again and again. So pause your soul contracts all you like, but you know, to your detriment, because you're gonna have to ascend, you're gonna have to transcend the need to even bother about soul contracts. That's mind stuff.
We're here to learn, and that's what I've came to the realization now. We're here to learn, but we're also here with the star seeds side of things. The star seeds are here to try and help humanity into a new era, because if humanity keeps going on the road it's on, it is going to come to a terrible end. You know, it's going to come to they're going to end up doing something stupid. And the aliens are like, oh, right, we need to do something, but we're not allowed to interfere with them. We're not, because it's some kind of thing that they've got. So they decided to like send like their own kind to come to Earth, and maybe some of them will become like Tesla, like inventors, or whoever's got to create clean energy and stuff like that. That's how they do stuff. And I find that fascinating. I really do find it fascinating.
I'm totally on board. Totally. I mean, it's exactly in alignment with everything that I'm receiving. Because we're, like I said, we're galactic. We are not just on this one planet having life here and that's it. None of us are. And whether we're baby souls on the Earth and have only done a few Earth incarnations because we're fresh from source, or whether we've done thousands of them, whether we've been incarnate in other parts of the universe, or Spirit World have told me I've been incarnate in older universes. So it's not just this universe, you know? So infinite. So we are coming in with a whole load of different levels of awareness, different abilities, different mindsets, I mean, it's just vast. It blows your mind in the end. And that's what I'm saying to you. I almost get to the point where it's like, that's all still mind stuff. Let's get back into the soul, get back into unconditional love. Like you say, why am I here? Why am I here? What am I trying to master? Because by doing that, you're helping the whole of the universe. We're the universe experiencing itself, right?
I've got to ask you this question, and I feel that I don't know what's coming for, but when you've been doing your mediumship and that, and talking to spirits, have you ever came into contact with one of our little friends from, well, no little, because some of them are huge, aliens? But I don't like calling
Yes.
them aliens because they're just like us, really. I mean, they're just souls like us. Have you ever
Well, I
came into
call them,
contact with one?
yes, I have, but I call them higher evolved beings. So not when
Yeah.
occasionally when I'm doing readings. Most of the time when I'm doing readings, it's the spirit guides, light beings, councils of light, whatever, deceased loved ones. But when I've been sitting in seance or circle for my own development, we've had higher evolved beings come in there. I've been told, like, almost like galactic federations. Because they're light beings. They're light beings, and they're working towards the same ends. So I don't know. Now I just, like I said, if you can accept that people might die and they've got a soul and that soul's eternal and therefore they exist in the spirit world, well, they're extraterrestrial, right? So now I just don't. I just keep an open mind and I just bring through whatever there is, whether that consciousness is reaching me from another part of the universe or if it's reaching me in a spiritual perspective in the multi dimensions. It's the marker for me is, what's the quality of information? Is it evidential? Is it proving itself? Is there a level of wisdom that's actually going to benefit my life and those who are around me? And how is that going to unify us and lead us back to unconditional love? And that is the markers to which I'm judging it. The rest, I just pass on. I'm the channel, you know. It's all there. It's all there.
It is all there. It really is. Dakota, would you like to go?
No, I was just gonna say I wouldn't know any way better to put it. When it comes to this entire thing,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it comes from a whole load of experience and 27 years of working as a channel and trying to, I have put it to the test. I have worked with the scientists. I have dedicated my life to helping people who are grieving. But I also obviously naturally have a curiosity. I want to understand more. So with the spirit world sit with me in development, they've opened my mind and my understanding to a whole lot more.
Do you think it's maybe a good thing? This is something I was thinking about the other night. I was sitting watching something about life after death. Do you think it's maybe a good thing that people don't really believe that there's people that believe in life after death? But do you think it's maybe a good thing that everybody doesn't believe? Because there's people out there that sadly they want to end their life, and you shouldn't, because you're here to learn, right? And again, you're going to have to come back again. Because if the whole world realised, like say scientists tomorrow says, "Oh, we've proved that life after exists," I think a lot of people would deliberately commit
Well,
suicide.
I've thought about this because obviously last year I was going through a terrible time. And for exactly what you just said there, I think people wouldn't end their lives. Actually, I think it
Right.
would have the opposite, because if you absolutely knew that you couldn't die and it had been scientifically proven, and you understood that you'd come here, but also that you were going to have to deal with it, whether you deal with it here or you deal with it there, because it's going to continue on and it's going to make it worse. You might as well stay put and do it. But also the other thing is, I think that when you understand the implications of it, the bigger implications of it, you're less likely to take your life than the people that maybe don't believe there's anything else and think they're just going to be free of all their suffering. So I have thought hard about this. You would think, because here's the thing as well. I think sometimes we think, oh, it's going to be lovely over there, so let's just escape. Let's all go back. But of course, it can only be as lovely as your state of being, as your level of attainment. So if you've come here so that you can level up, so that you can exist in higher and higher states of love, do it here. You're here for a reason. So I'm with you. And I think potentially a percentage of people may, but I actually don't know if it would be any different to what it is now. I genuinely don't know.
Yeah, because I've always wondered. I mean, you get the scientists that have actually been to hospices and they've done like experiments where
Yeah.
people, how your brain keeps running. Your brain actually keeps running for a long time after you're dead. And the
Mhm.
people, there is people out there that's like, oh, I've got doctors in the family and stuff like that. And they're like, oh no, life after death doesn't exist. Life after death. But then you get into the conversation with them, and you say, well, how come you can get different people from all different places in the world, but they all have the exact same thing happen to them?
Yeah.
They go into this white light. It's always a tunnel. It's either a square tunnel or it's a round tunnel. You walk through the light, and then there's this beautiful. It depends on your religion too. So if you're a Christian, you're going to be the pearly gates opens in front of you, and there's angels. Whereas if you're just like a spiritualist like me, for instance, it'll just be beautiful grass everywhere in the mountains, and you'll see your family and friends, and it's different for everybody. It must be quite a shock for people that don't believe in this kind of stuff. It must be quite a shock.
Oh, it
for them.
is. I mean, I've done a lot of rescue work, spiritually
Mhm.
speaking. I've been called in to do rescue work, and there are people that just haven't fathomed that
Yeah.
they've died.
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
that easy to cross. But this is where I'm saying it isn't all sweetness and love over there if you're
Yeah.
not capable of existing within that. This is why in the spirit world they always say to us, heaven is a state of being. It's not a destination. My guides always say that, and now, will most of us go into what my guides call the summer lands? Yes. Will we go into the light realms? Yes. Why? Because most of us inherently on this earth are good people. Most of us are, So we don't have anything to worry about. We're going to the love. This is another reason why I think loved ones come to us. It tunes us into that love so that we can get back into it.
I always have said to people that I've met people that are like, oh, I'm not going to heaven because I've been bad in my life. I've been to jail and stuff like that. And I says, look, if you ask for forgiveness, right, when it's your time, you'll get forgiveness. Oh, but I could have murdered somebody. I could have done this. I could have done that. And I said, it doesn't matter. He says, you were sent here to learn, right? Maybe that was
Exactly.
part of your agreement. Maybe you agreed it with the person you murdered. You don't
Oh,
know
no,
until
we
you go
don't.
there.
Also, I'm not talking about murderers as such here, but
Yeah.
we learn more from our suffering. So
Yes.
if we have done things that we then live to regret, or we've learned from, or we've leveled up from, we may well be in a higher state of awareness from that. And therefore, at the spiritual level, and this is where it's going to sound really harsh, at the spiritual level, was it good and bad? It's neutralized. It's neutralized. The karma there is neutralized because what you did, you've now leveled up to. Now you're going to be putting that right and not doing that or perpetrating that again out there in lifetimes. So we can't judge from an earthly myopic perspective. We've got no clue. If you've done something you feel terrible about, and you have, and you have reckoned with that, and you have changed because of it, just turn to the love. We are all it. We are all it. Focus on the love. That's, to me, love isn't, by the way, an emotion. Love's an energy, the energy from which everything springs from. So it makes us feel a certain way and we equate it to an emotion. But love is the frequency energy from which we all come from.
Yeah. I do think that is the meaning of the universe. I think we're here to love and learn. We're here to learn. We're here to learn new things. We're here to love also. But we're also here to try and help each other. And that's why our friends from above are here. Everybody like, oh no, they're here to mine gold for that and that stuff. No, look, they're here because they've been through this kind of stuff. They've evolved through this stuff. They've seen what wars can do and how many billions can die. And so they've decided to come and help us. And one day we'll join them out there in the cosmos.
Of course.
Right? Maybe a while from now, but it's a cycle. It's a cycle that will take place again and again and again for infinite amount of time.
Absolutely. And we're all interconnected, and a higher evolved being is going to understand that we're all one. So what we do to another or for another, we do to ourselves. So, they're coming from a level of understanding that most people on our planet isn't. But it's also the same within the spirit dimensions. Why the spirit guides work with us is because what we do here impacts the spirit world. You know, all of those
Yes.
going back home, they're taking with them that experience that's impacting the spirit world. So it's a constant exchange. It's a, you know,
Yeah.
a polarity. We're working together.
Yeah.
We're teams.
Yeah, it is. Dakota?
Nah, I'm.
It's quite a lot to take in, isn't it?
It
It's really
is.
good
It
today.
is.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh.
It's deep,
No,
isn't it?
I know. I always love the shows that we get that, you know, that leave you, you know, keep thinking about what everything that was talked about. You know, I always love when we get those types of shows, because, you know, those are the ones that, you know, usually end up sticking with people.
Oh, well, that's it. I mean, you know, we need to go deep. We need to, because
Yeah.
for going back to what you were saying earlier, Christopher, what I'm being told by Spirit at the moment is that we're about to enter into a point in time when reality is going to look inverted. So we're not going to be able to tell the difference between dark and light, lies and truth. And the only way that we're going to be able to evolve and move consciousness forward is from heart space. So it's why the generations underneath us are coming in extra sensitive. And I'm being told that their nervous systems, or all of our nervous systems, are becoming more and more sensitive. A lot of them are becoming overwhelmed. It's why mental health's going through the roof as well, because the body, we're driving it. What being told is we're driving Fred Flintstone's car like a Ferrari. We're trying to evolve. We're trying to evolve the human body really fast to catch up with AI and technology and what's coming. And if we don't move into emotional intelligence and fast, we will annihilate ourselves. So the spirit world, and I'm sure higher evolved beings, because to me, I'm getting the same messages all round, it's one and the same, are trying to get us to balance masculine and feminine, both within within genders, but also within the energies, the polarities, the sensitivity, the nurturing, the intuitive, the creativeness of feminine, with the leadership, assertiveness, direction, all of that, the great stuff of masculine within each person, so that we can level up. Because masculine, and I'm talking about not men here, but the masculine energies have been too strong, and the feminine energies have wounded both females and have been wounded in both females and males. You know, it's not just women who have suffered. The men have suffered in having their emotions suppressed and being told they can't show them and all this kind of thing, that it's a weakness.
See, I always find that interesting too, because people are like, oh, when I reincarnate, I wonder what will come back as. But a lot of people don't realize that they could have been a woman in their other life.
Absolutely.
See, that's the thing, and they're like, ugh. So I've tried telling this to like men that are right males, right? They're annoying, but they're like, oh, when I come back, I'm going to be a bodybuilder. I says, you don't know, you might come back as a woman. I says, that's not going to happen. I says, I'm telling you, it says it could happen. If you come back and they're like, right, you need to live yourself as a woman, you need to have, like, say, 3 children, you're going to have to do that. And they're like, no. And I'm like,
because
aye.
if you haven't mastered that aspect of yourself, then you will come back in whatever gender it takes to do that. So maybe you were totally male chauvinistic, or had abused women in something. You may well find you're coming back on the flip side of the coin, because you got to experience both sides, because you are so out of kilter in your masculine that you've got to now learn to balance. Because what does wholeness mean? Wholeness is masculine and feminine in balance. And this has been known for so long. If you look back at even like the Hermetica, the Egyptian knowledge, all the way back in time, they were talking about masculine and feminine polarities then. The Bible's full of masculine and feminine polarities. It was all yin yang. You know, well, whenever, you know, I think we get caught on gender or sort of the sex of people, but actually what we're talking about is the polarities, the positive and negative. And it's got to be balanced. And it isn't. It's not. So that's why humanity is flailing around. We're in a patriarchal society. It needs to be balanced. Until that happens, we can't level up.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to the day that I'm standing in the heavenly realm and I see the person that said all these bad things about women come towards me and say, "Oh, I've got some good news for you. You're going back.
Exactly.
You're going back." And they'll be like, "Oh, really? Am I going back as a bodybuilder and millionaire?" I'm like, "No, this is your new body here."
I will say that I find it very entertaining. My kids are of that generation that's all very much about pronouns and all of this. I find it all very entertaining, not because I'm disrespectful to any of it. Call yourself whatever you like. I don't care. But you know, we are souls. We are souls. So, you know, labeling ourselves when we could have been masculine in one life, feminine in another, black in one, white in another, blooming non-binary in one, or whatever, you know, we've done it all. We will have done it all by the end of it.
We could have been extraterrestrials that look totally, absolutely different from what we are now.
Absolutely.
It was quite interesting because when I done my car insurance not that long ago, they actually asked what I identified as. So I put a turnip. So that's actually in my insurance for my car that I identify as a turnip. And I found that extremely funny. I've lately, when I've been getting like stuff in for the bank and stuff like that, they've started this pronouns thing. I've just been putting myself down as identify as strange things like vegetables and stuff like that because it's funny.
It is funny. Well, and also it's so plain to me that this is all about division. The more we become divided, the more we segregate, the less united we are, the less we come together as one. So separate us all out, set us amongst each other. You know, it's very tribal at the moment.
Oh, yes.
And I just think this is like my whole message is about you're an eternal soul. You're a tripart being. You've got a physical body, a spiritual body, but you are a soul. Let's get back to the soul knowledge. Let's unite us in the stuff that we all are. There's the common ground.
It's like the world. Yeah, it's like the world today. I don't care about religions, and I don't care if you're a man, you're a woman, or whatever you are. We should just all love each other. We should. Can you imagine what the world could do if we stopped fighting each other and we all worked together just for once?
Yeah,
we could be within the stars. We could travel. You know, it's
totally. I mean, I'm somebody that, having now worked with dark energies, I noticed that despite the dark, we are led back to the light. Darkness leads us back to the light. Through our suffering, we grow, right? So I even think that as the more and more we're seeing that we're being controlled by the man, if you want, it will eventually unite people globally, because they will realize that they have more in common with one another than less eventually. And I can only hope then that we will then rise up. That's the goal. The goal is to raise humanity's consciousness so they're ready for the next phase, because it's going to be a technical phase, like it or not, is coming.
Oh yeah.
Because how else did all these higher evolved beings get there without technology, you know?
Yep.
Exactly.
Look, we're still a very young race. To them, we are Jesus. We are in the Stone Age to them. and people will be watching that. People will be watching this thing. Stone Age, I've got the latest iPhone, and no, that's nothing compared to them. They can do anything they want. They can travel between galaxies, and it doesn't take hardly any time.
I think they can open portals and doorways and just literally enter in. Stargates in different place, different time. It's instant.
Yes. And this is what people don't realize. And one day the human race will become like them, and we will move on to another world, and we will be helping that world. You never know. We could be reincarnated in that world, helping that world. And that's people like that. You just say to people, well, that's what happens. It's just, it's infinite. See, a lot of people say that the Big Bang never happened. I believe that the Big Bang's never happened. I believe that we've been here and we'll always will be here. Yes, the sun will die one day, but a new one will be born, and it will happen over and over and over again, forever.
That is so interesting. I've never thought about it. I love it. There's something Dakota for me. It's like, that's a new thought. That's a new idea. I mean, I definitely, even if the Big Bang is a thing and these crunches and crunches and bangs and scrunches happen, that
Mhm.
still is just really an infinite universe, because it's just
Yes.
it's just a inhale and exhale of the universe. It's not actually gone anywhere. It's just expanding and contracting. And if that theory is right, but it's still infinite, as in beyond time. It just
Yes.
is.
See, everybody believes in like God and there is a creator. There is something, there is like a light source that guides us, right? I do believe in that. But everybody at the universe, how do we not know that we're not a cell in a bigger entity that lives? How do we know that the universe isn't part of like some intelligent creature? You see that's got you there too. You'll be thinking about that tonight.
Well, I was just listening to you thinking, I love the creative mind here. I love minds that
Yeah.
can go, let's go anywhere.
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking, but even then, that would still be the universe, wouldn't it? Because uni meaning one. It'd be
Yeah.
like, well, and then what happens with that animal? There'd be something else and something else and something
Yeah.
else. So it's still only
Yeah.
oneness.
Yes.
I mean, I'm with you. So, you know, I can't call it God. I say the all because I love that from the Hermetic principles,
Yes.
which predates the all that
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. We're
It's a
humans.
source.
We're humans. We've got to name things. Humans name things. Like they like to name things. Whatever it is that created the universe and everything that existed, it doesn't have a name. It maybe does
No.
have a name, but we don't know what it is because it's greater than anything that has ever lived.
Well, and
So
also
we'll never really know what it's called.
I don't think you can name it. I love it in the Tao within the Tao when they say that, you know, the Tao means that which can't be
Yeah.
named, because if you put a label on something, you automatically restrict it. So how can all that is be labeled or named? It just can't. That is
Yeah.
to automatically restrict it, put it in a box, isn't it?
It is indeed. It is indeed. And it's just madness because I'll go outside because I live in the kind of countryside in Scotland. I can look at the stars and you think
Oh,
to yourself, you look up there and you think, God, I'm just like a grain of sand and a massness. I mean, there's billions and billions of galaxies, right?
yeah,
Within one universe. And they say that there might be universes within universes that might
I
just go
know.
on infinitely. So you think though that the higher beings out there that have maybe like are billions, trillions of years old are looking at us and they're going, oh God, there's that guy talking that show again. He's talking about the infinite universe. And but then there's the other aliens out there that are maybe 1,000 years ahead of us, thinking, right, we need to start helping them before they start blowing each other up and before they start destroying their world and polluting it. It's all a plan. I think there's a plan for everything in place. There's a question I want to ask you actually before the end of the show. What's your opinion? Right, I've noticed this when I've came across like spirits that I do a lot of pendulum work. Right, and
Okay.
I know a lot of that's your higher self and that's doing it, but I've noticed that spirits will not answer certain questions. It's as if there's like a law. There's
Yeah.
like when you die, you cross over, you come back, but there's something you're not allowed to tell, like the lottery numbers, or you're not allowed to tell them this or that. I know the lottery numbers is like a game of chance, really, you know, but it's like there's a law there, and I have asked the spirits, and they will categorically will not answer me. Anything else
Yeah.
they'll answer. What's your opinion in that?
So I have done the same thing. I mean, for
Yeah,
one, on the lottery numbers, they basically say to me, you know, that's a material gain, that we're
yeah,
not
I know.
interested in that.
Yeah,
But the other thing is, I think it's because there are literally laws that we are all
yes,
bound to within the universe. And if they interfere with free will on our behalf, then there is karmic comeback on that. So they are
yes,
allowed to inspire at certain times, but they're not allowed to overstep the boundaries, because I've asked certain things as well and I just don't get it back. And it's because I guess they can see it's not in my highest interest,
yeah,
and I have to trust that.
yeah. So Dakota there's popped out. Be sure to visit Claire's website. Please, everybody, can you visit Claire's website? Claire, where can we buy your books? Well, also the links will be in the description, but where can we buy your books?
Oh, bless you. Well, I've got both here. So there's this lovely
Yep.
pink one, What the Dead Are Dying to Teach Us. And that's all about
Right.
mediumship, the science behind it, after death communication, all the good stuff, psychic stuff, and then
Mhm.
Heaven Sent, which is all about soul contracts, soul connections, all the stuff we've been talking about, reincarnation, and all of that good stuff. They are available on Amazon and in all good bookstores. And Mark, you can find me at www.clairebroad.com, on TikTok, of course. I'm on Instagram
Yes.
and YouTube.
You'll see me floating through there. Like, we are like, I put loads
Yeah.
of UFO stuff up. That's what I mainly do. I don't.
Well,
I just follow people.
I should be looking at it. I love it, as you can tell.
Yeah, I've got quite a lot of views. I've got 4,000 followers, and I only put a video out every like couple of months or something. I think I've had about 10 million views or something like that.
Wow.
I don't know, but I just use that. I only go to certain channels that I like there, which I like your channel on TikTok. Everybody, could you jump over and give her a wee follow on TikTok?
Oh,
So, Claire, I'm going to end the show now, but I'll talk to you behind the scenes after the show.
okay.
Everybody, have a fantastic Saturday night. I don't know where Dakota's been. I think the aliens have beamed them up again.
Yeah, you'll have to say goodbye to him.
He's waving out the window there. Bring me back! Bring me back! You'll need to come back in, Dakota. So everybody, thank you so much. I'll be doing a free card reading tomorrow again. I do a free card reading every single day of the week for everybody. Oh, without further ado, here he's back from beyond.
Is he? I can't see him.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to bring
Oh.
you coming back there, Dakota. He's just got a black screen. He's down in the kind of basement option here. So we'll just end the show and we'll catch you all later, guys. And thank you very much, Claire, for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. And we'll talk to you behind the scenes. Catch you later, everybody. Bye. Play outro.